Um, this is just a practice because a couple of weeks ago my first stream and Ustream has never worked the same since, so I hope that wasn't my fault. So I was trying to set it up because I wanted to use my little Victorian writing case which I found, so but I'm on quite high up because I wanted to do some detailed work. So I think that's quite that's focused. So I'm hoping it's not going to flashing in and out as it says. So a couple of weeks ago I decided to start collecting napkins and I found this one and I thought, ooh, colouring in. Better still, watercolouring. So I stripped it of its three, the two white backings and then the pattern, and ended up with this. I'm just going to move these paints out of the way because they are a little bit tacky. So if you pull the two backs off, you end up with this, which, as you can see, if you don't have it on a white background, it's quite dark. But then, of course, you pop it back onto a white background and it's beautiful. It is very delicate because it's one layer of tissue paper, so it's extremely delicate. So I might just leave that there if I can while I'm colouring in, because the colours will be different if you do it on a darker background than if you do it on a lighter one. Do excuse me, the minute I start to stream, my cough goes. So that's what I started with, and I was playing in my little book of watercolours. There are a few hundred in there now, and it looks quite messy, but there's a lot of pigment. These are the Dr. Martens Hydrus watercolour. They're in a bottle and they are wonderful things. So I put a few drops out and I can shut that, and I have all these colours with me. So I've been playing with those, and that's what I did with the tiger in. Coloured the tiger in that. As you can see, you can get some really nice colours and nice shading. That's just from one colour. And so I decided that I would do it in those colours. This is what I ended up with. So this is a painted napkin. It was quite easy. It was fairly quick. And it was really nice. It wasn't difficult at all. Although you do have to have a little bit of brush skills. But if you can drop watercolours into things, you can get some really nice effects. So I thought I would show you how I did it, because there will be other black and white napkins. And then I thought, well, if you can actually colour on one of these, you can colour in anything. So we have our little watercolours. It doesn't matter what watercolours you use. Quite a fine paintbrush. I work in a 10-0. A little thing of water and a sponge. Oh. Cannot believe that the phone. Cannot believe that the phone would go at a moment. It never rings. So here we go. Proves that we are live. So I'm going to take this for YouTube as well. But I'm not very good at chat, although I think it may be on now. It wasn't last week. So see if I can zoom in a little bit with my little camera. I'm not sure how far it goes in before it starts to go a bit. Ugh. So we will try with this rose here. And you say you've got to be careful with it because it is tissue paper and it's one layer. So I can see my colours quite clearly, so I will just drop onto there. So we shall do a pink one, and I do apologise. The puppy's in the kitchen doing his thing. One thing I always have, though, is a spare piece of photocopy paper, just so you can see exactly what colours you're using. Especially something as delicate as this, because you can't really make mistakes on this, although a pack of napkins is £1.50. So you're not actually going to break the bank, but it is a good idea to just have something so you can tell, well, do I want that pink or do I want it more orangey? So if you just drop the colour in, it does spread, so you want to be just short of the line. But that's how easy it is, and I'm not in frame, am I? Just bear with me. I don't know what's happened. Something's happened and we're frozen. What have I done? I've cut myself off now. Oh dear, that probably was the phone. Dear, dear, dear. So hopefully we're back. Don't you just love live? Just bear with me a second. For some reason, I've disappeared. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Let's try. So I'm glad I did this as a there we are. I think we might be back. As Anna used to say, I'm back. So hopefully we can't see. I don't know how far we can go in before it goes blurred, so that's not so bad, is it? So if we just put that to there, everything's out of the way, people can see what I'm doing. So, do excuse me, my voice was perfectly alright 4 minutes ago. And that little puppy is chewing on the dog bed, which she's not allowed to do. So, all you do is just drop the colour in and let it spread. I haven't wet the serviette beforehand. I'm just dropping it in gently and then leaving it. And as you can see, it's wet underneath. It's a serviette. It's damp. As long as you don't touch it, it will dry. And it dries very quickly. Very, very quickly. But you do get some quite nice effects. So what I'm going to do is just swap to a slightly, it's a slightly bigger paintbrush, but it's still a 10-0. If I can find it, there it is. Because it's a rigger. It's because it's not that one, because that one's damaged. That one. It's not the one. Typical. It's not where it's supposed to be. Oh, never mind. I'll use a 5-0. It'll be fine. It's still got quite a nice point to it at the end. Has a nice point. So, right. And I'm really not very good at painting and talking, so all I'm doing is dampening this watercolour on here. I've got a fair amount of there and a damp brush and just dropping it in. You don't want too much because that will distort the tissue too much. You just want to drab it in and just take it almost to the edge of the line. And then that will give you a lovely shade. And apart from the fact that it's pretty pointless, as somebody said, somebody went up to somebody and said, what's the point of doing it? And I thought, so I said, what's the point of you breathing? But that was another thing. It's therapeutic. You're concentrating on it. It's fairly quick, and you can play about with colour. So you can, because it's watercolour. The more water you add, the paler. So you can get some lovely pale pinks. So you have a deeper centre and paler on the outside, or you can just drop colour in. And as you can see, it just spreads. So you just want to be short of that line, because if you go right up to the black line, it's a possibility it could spread over. Now, most of the time it doesn't, but it could, and then that, of course, would ruin it. So that was fairly quick, as you can see. The light's not very good in here. I've just had an avalanche and everything fell on top of me. So, but I wanted to practice because on next Tuesday, I want to make sure that everything's working in order, because I can't really justify buying a new camera. And this is my phone, and I'm hoping that it will carry on doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I might want that one a little bit darker, I think. So just like you would normally, just put that little bit more darker pink in, a bit more pigment, and then just stroke it out a little bit more. And then if you want some more water, you can just always remember to twist the paintbrush to take it back to a point, and then just gently dab it. And what you're doing is dabbing colour in. I mean, I work very similar to this when I do ordinary photocopy paper. And you see, that's the damp, it's coming through. But it gives a very nice, and it is very delicate. So it's like probably working on silk. I think material probably would do this. I know a few years ago I painted on material, and it kind of touches it and runs that little bit. You can just see it's not staying exactly where I touch it. But I was so excited when I found a napkin that was a line drawing, because I knew instantly what I was going to do. And I just thought that as long as it was damp and not too wet, I was quite convinced that it would work. And you can go in like you normally would. You can go darker. I think that my middle might be dry now. So you could go back in and put some darker in if you wanted. Darken the centres up. Darken underneath. You can do exactly what you would normally do to build up a lovely layer. It's just the same as delicate paper, except for you've just got to be that little bit. See, there would be a natural shadow under that. So I was so excited to share this, because when you tell people that you're going to watercolour on a napkin, they kind of go, what? I just wanted to show how easy it was, and fairly quick as well. You know, it doesn't. I love the detailed watercolour colouring in books, but you can be hours and days on one page. This is very quick. And you see, I didn't go up to that line, but it's just spread. And if it doesn't go up to the line, you just touch it again, and then it will just take it straight up to the line, so you don't go over your lines. Similar to when you're doing normal colouring in. Again, it does go through, because that will be damp, that will be wet, because it is fairly delicate. It looks quite nice on the back reverse side as well, actually. So I let's go down here a little bit, and then you can just see how much. That's the beauty of this. You have all this palette at this side as well, and then I can have some very, very pale, beautiful, delicate pale flowers at this side as well. because that naturally that's what would happen. Petals on the outside would be kind of they would be things. So I might just carry this on for a little while. It'll be boring if I did the whole thing, but just to show you just how quickly it is. So I hope you found this interesting, and as I say, I will carry on and finish the flower. And do excuse me, but Puppy, he's got a cone on his head because bless him, he keeps licking his paw, making it sore. I think it's a Cavalier thing, and so he has to have a cone on his head, and so we call him Conan. And all the oldish ladies will remember Conan from it was the 80s. And it's quite funny, so I'm going to make that a little bit darker there. Oh, there's another one there, look. You see, all you're doing is just stroking a damp brush. Now I'm rushing this because I want to get it finished, but and I just went over there because I touched right on the edge, but you wouldn't see. Not sure about doing a black background on this one, but that's quite a pale pink, is that? And then you think about the greens. So these are the colours that I must have used before. So all I'm doing is, because it's a plastic, it's just plastic. There's still quite a lot of colour in there, and if you get what I call the dirty colours, you know, you get some lovely greens. I quite like that green, and it lends itself. Muddy colours lend themselves quite well to this way of working. So again, you're just touching, you're just making it damp, just touching the inside of the line to make that leaf. Oh, sorry, I think I'm off camera there, sorry. It's a lovely soft colour. A little bit darker under there. That green's probably now going to just a bit too much. You'll find that you'll learn if you have too much on your brush, because it'll run past the edge. So it doesn't take long to work out that if you touch it and you have too much on your brush, it's going to run straight past that line. So it's always a good idea to start in the middle, and then you can see the flow. Then you know that if you can just get near that edge, it naturally will take the colour where it wants to go. You get some really nice watercolour effects without the wet. You certainly can't saturate. You definitely can't saturate a piece of a single layer of napkin. You do get some delicate. So let me have a look at another one now. That could be pink or it could be lemon. I think I'll do that pink. I may do that darker pink, a little dark pink one. So you can touch the middles. So it doesn't work really well being on a slope. I can zoom in a bit. Oops. So if I move that across, I move that up. And if that's any better. So as I say, I was something that little bit different. Now this is very flat colour, so you could Look, this looks like it's a marker, so even though it's watercolour. So you can colour, and the other reason I like to photocopy most things is because you can turn them round, because they're easy to paint if you're using a natural way. While I'm at that angle, I shall do this little flower down here. And because I'm carrying on, the dampness in the brush is drawing out the pigment, so it looks like it's a pale colour. You wouldn't think that that's the same colour as that one, but it is. Tiniest amount of colour to drop into this one. And there's two more finished. So it is very, very quick. I think I'd like a kind of a browny, muddy colour. So again, just make sure that you have your rough piece next behind you. That's a little bit dark, is it? Drop more water. And so I can do now, I'm going to move that. It was just an experiment, see if it would work there, and it doesn't. That's better. I can just stroke that colour down. Just a little bit into the leaf. And keep stroking. To keep just all you're doing, and that's why I love it, because my hands are really bad with arthritis. And I love this way of working because there is no pressure at all on your hand. It's really, really, really easy, and I absolutely love it. I really do. I find it so easy to work, and there is no pressure whatsoever on your fingers at all. And I keep banging on about my little book, but it is so easy to use. I mean, I have a space here. This again is on my little tray. This is my little, if I lift this up, this is, I don't think it was not going to, this is my knee tray, I think they're called. It's a little tray and it has a cushion underneath it. So I'm just going to touch that colour into there. Just touch that. But because you're working and it's so delicate work, there is absolutely no pressure on your hands at all, which is so easy because I sat and did the napkin in one evening. I didn't have to stop because my hands were hurting, which is what I normally have to do. And I like to make sure that this flower, all the petals that are coming from this flower are the same. Sorry, all the leaves. Because in nature, all the leaves coming from the same flower will be the same. They're all different shades because they've all got different amounts of water to them. But there's no reason why you can't make one a little bit darker than the other. But basically you're just dropping in. Well, this is like muddy water, this one, this particular one. It does look quite muddy, that one. It just looks like a muddy puddle. And you're just dropping it into the little flowers, the little leaves. And it makes a difference having that little brown stem. This is really getting quite ugly now, but for our purposes, and because it is tissue, it is absorbing every amount of colour and water in there. So when it evaporates the water, you're just left with just a hint of colour. Very similar to watercolouring, but without all the wet. You see, that's completely darker than the other one now. That's a lot darker. pop that back up out of the way, and I'll put that back in. So that makes sure that I'm in. Make sure that I'm in. Haven't a clue what's happening with the with the internet at all. But I thought, well, I'd make this stream just to make sure that the camera's not going to fall off. Because I'm hopefully getting a little bit better, and I hope everybody finds what I do useful. I do try to be helpful. I think art should be for therapy. Even enjoyment is therapy, because you're doing it because it de-stresses you. You've had a hard day at work. The children have driven you insane and they're asleep. Although I have to say my girls were really good. I hated, I loved the summer holidays, and I hated the first morning of school, and all the mothers are going, oh, thank goodness for that. I'm going, no, I quite like my girls at home. Strange woman. So this is a lovely little flower here, and my water pot is quite muddy, but this is quite a nice one, so I think we might just touch. And I'm going to make that an orangey red, so that you just touch of pink. I had a touch of pink and a touch of orange. Touch of pink, and these, because they are so vibrant, and then just kind of mix it together here. And that probably will be too, the touch here will be too dark. It is a nice shade, but if I add lots of water to that, comes, it's not much different to that, so I'm going to actually add some more water to it. And that's made a more subtly deep pink. And again, if you drop it in the middle first, and then tease these down here, then oops, that's a little dog. That's a little dog with his comb on, bless him. So we call him Comb Boy, bless his little socks. Although he's rather naughty. He's not house trained at all. He's rather naughty. So I'm going to make yellow now, so I shall just touch this yellow to revitalise it. Doing a very good job. And then I will just touch the blue. And then I have a green. This is more of an olivey green, so I might just see what that is. The only thing you must make sure is you don't have any hairs on the end of your brush. Oh dear, dear, dear. Oh, excuse me. Alfie, you cannot be there. Bark. Shh. Shh. Hush. Be a good boy. Shh. My, you frightened me to death. You're a good boy. Sorry about that. That's why he's normally banished when I'm streaming live. He will bark all the time. That's absolutely nothing. Alfie, enough. So again, just stroking and touching, and this colour goes a long way. Which is again, as a tight Yorkshire lass, I quite like that, because you can colour lots and lots and lots. I may have to stop streaming because he's been a rat bag. So that looks quite nice, that rose. And we'll just carry on with the leaves, and then you know all the leaves are the same. Sorry about my squeaky, scroaky voice. And the naughty boy on the floor. How on earth he gets squashed between my chair when he has a big plastic cone on his head, I'll never know. But I'm frightened of moving my chair. I'm running over him, but he's always in the way, bless him. Now, because this green is a muted greeny browny green, I'm actually making it the stalk coloured as well. Because if it doesn't look right, I can always change it. And bearing in mind, this is the napkin. People wipe their faces on it, their noses on it, and they throw it away. So it's not precious. It's not an expensive colouring book that you've spent quite a lot of money on. So the other thing is you get some really lovely pale colours just by adding water, which you would just think that's dirty water, but if I hold that up, it seemed to have frozen again. So I'm really sorry about this. To say I'm not sure what's happening. Everything looks like it's frozen solid, but my camera seems to have gone now. Why on earth would my camera decide not to work? So we've probably got sound and no camera. That's what we want to do. If you would like to do that, that would be good. No, I may have to stop because I seem to have lost my camera. Oops. So I'm sorry about that. Let me see what else I can do. See if it's going to come back. No. The camera is not going to talk to anything else, is it? I don't know why it won't do that. Just don't know why it won't do it. Oopsie. And for some reason, lots of people want to speak to me today. So I'm really sorry. I just seem to have broken everything again. Oh, that may be okay now. Do we think we have we have a live hand? That's fine. Oh, I think we're back. So if I just hide that, sorry about that. That's just, I am so bad. I thought I was quite computer savvy, but obviously I'm not. So that's what I've done so far. On my napkin, watercolouring on a napkin. Which is quite easy and quick and really using the smallest amount of I do like, but I do like that olive